Hi, I'm Charles Kirsch.
Hi, and I'm Ken Bloom. Welcome to the Dancers Over 40 Spelling Bee.
We're so happy you're here. We'll be your co-hosts for tonight. There will be quite a few celebrity guests who will ask 3 spelling words each, but the words that aren't asked by one of them will be pronounced by either me or Ken.
Right, now before we get started, let's hear from John Sefakis, head of the Dancers Over 40, with some important information. John?
Hey there. Hey, Ken. Hey, Charles. Thanks so much for doing this. It's really important for Dancers Over 40 to be involved in this way because we are sort of, the smaller organization of all the other theater and dance organizations. And we sort of take care of their souls. We bring all the dancers together and then we allow them to talk with each other and to pay it forward to the next generation where we videotape all of our events about Broadway's golden age and about all the great dancers, and all the dancers come together to impart the information. These things you don't read about in books. So we have an extensive archival website where we put all this stuff. And we have an award show. We do a lot of outreach, we do casting seminars, and we depend on membership dues and donations. So hopefully tonight people will become a member or donate to our patron wall, where we have different levels, just like every other organization has that, but we call it, of course, standbys, understudies, dance captain, etc. So we hope that you do that. And many people here tonight are members of Dancers Over 40, including our youngest member, Charles Kirsch. And it went all the way up to a 105-year-old member who just died, who was a good friend, one of our founding members, Zoya Laporska, and Norma Doggett Beswick at 94, and Jimsy DeLapp at 96, and of course Mars Champion at 100. So we need some young people now. We started 27 years ago. So when Charles was not around at all. And some of these dancers are already going to be transitioning out of dancing, and some will not. So hopefully you'll get some information about us tonight, www.dancersover40.org, where you can join, donate, renew, become a member, and enjoy the evening and enjoy our members and the people that are here. And thank you so much to Ken and to Charles for doing this.
Thank you, John. So we want to introduce everybody who's going to be guessing. We have sort of 2 teams. And some we're calling the dancers / actors, and some we're calling the civilians, so to speak. But everybody is involved in some way. And I'll be here with my bell and buzzer. That's now not buzzing, fantastic, to tell you if you get the answer right or wrong. So now let's introduce our contestants.
Yes, and before we do that, just so everyone knows, you can see the information for how to join Dancers Over 40 and how to donate to this very worthy cause. It's scrolling at the bottom of this video and also in the YouTube description if you want to look there.
Great.
And of course, we encourage you to do that. So our first speller tonight is musical director Michael Lavine, owner of the largest sheet music collection in the world. He served as vocal coach to some of Broadway's top stars and as musical director for shows at the York Theatre, the Muni, Birdland, and so many more. Thank you, Michael, for being here.
Tony nominee Brad Oscar. He's given us unforgettable performances in shows like The Producer, Something Rotten, Big Fish, Spamalot, and many others. Welcome, Brad.
Goodevening.
Thank you.
That might be it.
And we've got songwriter and director Bari Kleinbort joining us tonight. He is the writer of such shows as 13 Things About Ed Carpellotti, Was, and Angelina. In his work as a cabaret director, he's put together shows for such stars as Len Cariou, Brent Barrett, Penny Fuller, Karen Mason, and Anita Gillette. So Bari, thank you for joining us.
Well, hi there, Charles. Thanks for having me.
And all the way from Denver, here's Dancer Over 40 member, the inimitable, legendary Candy Brown, who's lent her talents to Pippin, Liza with a Z, Hello Dolly, Grind, Chicago, and a lot more. And we also have George Dansker, who's a columnist for Opera News, a popular theater lecturer, written a lot of liner notes for many CD companies, including Stage Door Records. Hi, George.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Next, we've got ballet and musical theater dance star Lawrence Leritz, who has danced with the Hamburg Ballet and for choreographers like Robert Joffrey, Alvin Ailey, and Ruth Page. He appeared in the 1980s revival of Fiddler on the Roof and in Fontaine and Nerea on Broadway. In addition, his dance remix of the song Crank It Up made it to the Hot 100 charts in dance music. So Lawrence, thank you for being here.
Thank you, and H-E-L-L-O, Charles.
And as we said, John Sefakis is joining us also, which is very brave of him. And who else, Charles?
And next we've got Kevin Winkler, who's a dance and theater historian, author of Big Deal, a biography of Bob Fosse, and he has a forthcoming book on Tommy Tune. In his career as a dancer, he performed in Wind in the Willows on Broadway and Cats on Tour. Thank you, Kevin.
Hi, Charles. Hi, Ken.
Hi.
Hi, great to be here.
Good. And next, we have a friend of mine and a lot of other people, Bari Biern, who's an actor, a longtime member of the Capitol Steps, traveling all over the country. She's done a lot of television, radio, and really every state in the country she's visited.
Jamie DeRoy is a mainstay of the Broadway scene. As producer, she's won 7 Tonys, including The Ferryman, Angels in America, The Revival, Once on This Island, The Revival, The Band's Visit, and so many others. And her show, Jamie DeRoy and Friends, directed by Barry Kleinbort, who's also here, has been around interviewing Broadway celebrities since 1990. So Jamie, thank you for joining us.
Great to be here, and Barry always directs my shows.
Thank you. Jane.
I wouldn't do it without him.
The way the Bee works, we have 2 teams, performers and civilians is what we named them. The one team of actors and dancers is Bari Biern, Candy Brown, Lawrence Leritz, Leritz, I was right the first, Kevin Winkler, and Brad Oscar. And they're going to be playing against people we call civilians, who are mainly backstage people on Broadway and off Broadway. Michael Lavine, Barry Kleinbort, Jamie DeRoy, George, and John.
Okay.
And I'll be presenting the names to the dancers and Ken to the civilians. So one person from each group will be called up to spell the name of a famous dancer or a famous choreographer. If the person gets it right, that's a point for your team. If they get it wrong, a member of the other team has a chance to make one guess as to the spelling of the name.
So it's not like Family Feud where we can ask one of our team members.
No, unfortunately, you won't be able to do that because it's on Zoom and you can't privately converse.
Okay, so at the end, the team with the most points will win, and we will announce who's winning from Monday.
Yes, so you will have to wait in suspense for a little bit.
And the team that wins will get a really great Dancers Over 40 mask
Fantastic.
and a free year's membership to Dancers Over 40 if you're not already a member. So evidently George already became a member, which is really nice.
Yes, thank you.
So thank you. And those are the prizes. So Miss Candy already won a free membership for her corn chip in the Halloween contest last year. I'll never let her forget it.
No, it was not a corn chip. We were supposed to come as someone in a cast, and I came as the person who always has a chip on their shoulder.
Oh,
The new
Yeah.
girl in the show that has a chip
funny.
on her shoulder. Yeah.
George, I was hoping that the prize would be free knee replacement. But
We can't afford that. Dancers Over 40
Oh,
can't
goodness.
afford that. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
So now we're going to tell everybody who are celebrities who will be asking our panelists to name some of the names. Steven Brinberg, Jim Brochu, Ted Chapin, Cheryl Clark, James Dybas, and Josh Ellis.
Plus, we've got Penny Fuller, Jason Graae, Jerry Mitchell, Karen Morrow, Mary Testa, Lee Wilkof, and Dancers Over 40 member Ronald Young. So without further ado, let's get to some spelling, and good luck, everyone.
All right.
So let's start with the dancers. Here's Emmy Award-winning actress Penny Fuller, star of Applause, Rex, The Dinner Party, A New Brain, Barefoot in the Park, and more, with our first name for Candy Brown to spell.
Well, okay. I have a question for you. Can you spell me Ron Field? Well, and let me tell you a story about Ron Field. It starts out bad, but it ends up good. I was called to come across country because I was in California to replace On the Road in a musical called Applause. I flew in on a Friday night. On Saturday, having gotten there about 2 a.m, I went to see the show Saturday night. On Sunday, I met Lauren Bacall, and on Monday, I started rehearsing. So Monday I rehearsed, I learned the music. Tuesday I had to run a walkthrough with the cast, the understudies. Wednesday, the lady I was replacing and I had to learn a number together before the matinee that she had to play. Thursday I had a full dress rehearsal, full orchestra, all the costumes, the whole Megillah, and I opened. And I made it. I got through in that little bit of time. Okay, so Saturday I had 2 shows, and on Sunday we packed up and went to Detroit. We get to Detroit. On Monday, we start rehearsing, and I'm rehearsing. I mean, I'm really now, I can kind of relax. And Ron said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm rehearsing." He said, "Yeah, but that's not what you did yesterday or Friday or Saturday." I said, "But I'm trying to find out what to do." He said, "Well, if you don't do it the way you did it, how can I fix it?" And that's when I learned the difference between a choreographer and a director. But by the time we got through and we got to New York, we had reached a rapprochement. And for many, many years, he was my friend and my supporter, and I his. So that was just a little rough patch. Can you spell Ron Field?
Hi, Penny. Thanks. Let's see. Ron Field. How about capital R-O-N, capital F-I-E-L-D?
Very good.
Easy, piece of cake. Piece of cake.
We're just getting everybody warmed up. Next, we've got the author of Everything Was Possible and head of the Rodgers and Hammerstein organization, Ted Chapin. And his first word is for Bari Kleinbort. Ready, Bari?
Yep.
He toured with a European company of West Side Story, and in that company was the guy he ended up working for the rest of his professional life. The man was Michael Bennett, but how do you spell Bob Avian?
Capital B-O-B, capital A-V-I-A-N.
I don't think we need to say capital necessarily since they're
All right. Well, Candy started, so okay.
We will not have E.E. Cummings in there.
Oh, that's Lily.
Mine's a small D-E.
What about Agnes DeMille?
Yes, you're right. You're
If
right.
you have Agnes DeMille.
Right.
No,
Don't
but
give
it's
anything
a
away.
pain. I think it's a pain to do the capitals.
It is.
Okay.
Okay, Charles, you're up.
Okay, Drama Desk Award-winning star of Zero Hour, his one-man show about Zero Mostel, Jim Brochu, is next up with a word for Lawrence Leritz.
Bob Fitch. Bob Fitch was the original rooster in Annie and has a credit of probably 32 Broadway shows, 6 children. Wonderful guy who's also a great magician. Well, he and I were doing Can-Can at the Tropicana in Atlantic City. And one night after the show, we were sitting in a little dining room. We shared a house together. And he put a quarter in my palm. And he said, "Now close your palm." And when I opened the palm, the quarter was gone. Spell Robert Fitch.
B-O-B-F-I-T-C-H.
Excellent. Okay, Jamie, can you spell the director of Chicago's name, Walter Bobby?
W-A-L-T-E-R-B-O-B-B-I-E.
Very good.
Let's challenge Brad Oscar with Tony winner Susan Stroman.
SUSAN STROMAN.
Very good. Next, we're going to hear from Ron Young, who performed in Name, The Boyfriend, My One and Only, George M., and so many more, with a word for John.
The choreographer is Graae Chapin. I have a great little story about that because I came from a small farm community in Oklahoma, and I arrived in New York City, on a Friday, went to my first audition on Monday, which was Hello Dolly, and I got it. Can you imagine coming from that little town and getting a big hit show like that? Well, during rehearsals, I just thought he was everything. If he had said at this point, jump off the bridge, I probably would have. One day, Marge Champion came in to assist Graae, and it was for the I'm Dancing number. And she waltzed with me on stage and in this off stage. Well, I was so taken with him from the 1950s MGM musicals, I didn't wash my hands for 2 days. So Graae was just a monumental force in musical theater. Now, can you spell it? Graae Chapin.
Okay. GOWERCHAMPION.
Very good.
Leo Wilkof, the original Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors and performer in 1986's Sweet Charity, the Off-Broadway Assassins, the Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick led The Odd Couple, and more, has our next name for Kevin Winkler.
Do you know how to spell Anna White? I'll give you a little hint. Una White. Anna White was a renowned choreographer, I believe in the 40s and 50s on Broadway, and I can't remember what she choreographed, but I think she choreographed, among other things, The Music Man. And I met her when I did The Music Man at the Muni in St. Louis. I played Marcellus. In the film it was played by Buddy Hackett, and I sang Shapoopy. And I must say that Anna White was not quite as patient with me as some other choreographers, but probably other choreographers were less patient than Anna. And I could not get, and I don't think I ever did it particularly well, a hitch kick the first day of rehearsal. And Anna White, she loathed me. She could not stand me. Ultimately, I did it. I did it okay. Not quite as good as I've done in other shows, but that was my experience with Anna White. It was very tense, and I think I probably tried to, kiss up to her on opening night, but I don't think she had it. She didn't go for it. So, can you spell Anna White?
ONNAWHITE.
Very good.
Is that right?
That's correct.
I was afraid it was OO. I started to say OONA. But I knew that would be Una White.
Wasn't married to Chapin. Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, right.
We should have put Una O'Neill in just to throw you.
Yeah.
Jason Graae has a name for Michael Lavine.
Can you spell Allison Reed? So, Allison Reed is one of my dearest friends in the world. He said name-droppingly. I had seen Allison in so many shows on Broadway and at Jones Beach. I saw her play Gloria in Damn Yankees at Jones Beach with Joe Namath. I saw her do Marilyn, the gypsy run-through of Marilyn when she came in late. And I think everybody else was in costume and they hadn't even done her costumes yet. But all the Broadway community came to watch, and she was brilliant. I saw her do Cabaret on Broadway as Sally Bowles. I saw her in the movie of Chorus Line, which I thought she was magnificent in. I like that movie, by the way. It's a chorus line, It's a chorus line. I'll always love a chorus line. So I had done a show at Rainbow and Stars, which was now non-existent, but it was next to the Rainbow Room, and I did a show, A Grand Night for Singing. And it was really great. And it was during the 50th anniversary of Oklahoma on Broadway. And Karen Ziemba, Vicki Clark, Lynn Wintersteller, Marty Vinovic, and myself. And it was a big hit. And then they moved it to Broadway, and Karen Ziemba got Crazy for You national tour, which was going to pay a lot more money than the Roundabout was going to pay us to do a Grand Night for Singing. So Karen went that way on the road. And I was crushed because I love Karen Ziemba, and I did a lot of stuff with her in the show, and everybody loves Karen Ziemba. So, you know, that's nothing new. But when they told me that Allison Reed was going to be replacing her, I was like, Karen who? I was so thrilled. And Allison and I just went, she's got a very naughty sense of humor, and she's funny. And of course she loved me because I was a cute gay guy who knew all her credits. So she was like, hey, I love you. And so now she sang at my wedding reception a few years ago, and we just had a ball, and I got to dance with her. We did It's Me. Who's that girl with da 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 da? Yup, up, 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 da 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 da. It's me, it's me, it's me. So I got to dance with her. Marty Vinovic and I were her backup boys. And then we got to do a trio called The Man I Used to Be, and dancing next to Allison Reed, who was just one of my idols of all time, was truly one of the gifts of my life. And oddly enough, well, maybe I should save this for the next story, but Pam Sousa was our choreographer, who I'd also seen play Cassie in A Chorus Line, and she was a big Bob Fosse star and all that. So it was great, but we had a great time. And I just want to show you this. Allison gave me for Christmas this picture of her when she was, I believe she was Miss Anaheim. This was in high school, and she hangs in my laundry room. So I look at her every time I do my whites or my colors or my sheets.
Alysonreed.
Very good.
You want to be the first one to lose me.
And for Barry Biern, how about Dancers Over 40 member from Very Good Eddie, Virginia Seidel?
VIRGINIASEIDEL.
Yes, very good. Now here is like George Dansker to spell Donald Sadler.
DONALD, and Sadler SADDLER.
Correct.
Woo.
And Candy Brown spell the director of The Lion King, Julie Taymor.
Okay. JULIE TAYMOR.
Right.
Correct.
So now, John, will you spell one of the giants of choreography, Hanya Holm?
HANYAHOLM.
Right.
And here's one more for Barry Biern, Tony Award winner Dan Soretta.
Dan Soretta. I'm sorry, can I hear it in a sentence? What is
I did Whoopi with, no.
Dan?
The last Dan Soretta.
DANCERETTA?
No, wrong.
Is that buzzer?
Oh,
I'll do my own.
And
it just happened. Okay.
And we're turning it over
So
to
does
Barry
the other
Kleinbort.
team get it? Oh, sorry.
Barry Kleinbort will now get a chance to spell Dan Soretta if you'd like to.
Okay, DANSIRETTA.
Correct. Here's a star of Simply Barbara and a performer at Carnegie Hall, the Library of Congress, and on Broadway, Steven Brinberg, who's actually going to be Carol Channing, asking Barry Kleinbort.
Hello, it's Carol Channing. Yes, you know, I did Lorelei with the fantastic Ernie Flack. He was just wonderful. That name is Ernest Flack. Yes.
ERNESTFLATT.
Okay.
Didn't I say that right? I guess so.
And now we'd like Lawrence to spell Peter Gennaro, co-choreographer of West Side Story.
PETERGEN. Oh, I'm so tired. GENNA
R-O.
Correct. Okay, George. Can you spell Tony Award winner for Black and Blue, Charlie Atkins?
C-H-A, you say Charlie Atkins, correct?
No, I said Charlie.
Charlie, sorry. C-H-O-L-E-Y-A-T-K-I-N-S?
No, that's not right.
Oh.
Would Brad Oscar like to steal that and try his hand at Charlie
Then I
Atkins?
assume it would be CHOLIEATKNINS.
Nope.
ATKINS.
No, I
No,
got
golly, no.
Anybody
That
want?
would be-
I'll go. CHOLLYATKINS.
Correct.
Thank you.
Very good. Now here's Jason Graae. We're not asking you to spell his name. Veteran Stardust, Forbidden Broadway, do black patent leather shoes and more. Brad?
Can you spell Tommy Walsh? So I have a little personal anecdote about Tommy Walsh. I met him when I was 23 years old. And I had just moved to New York City. And one of the first Broadway shows that I auditioned for was the infamous Do Black Patent Leather Shoes. Tommy was everywhere because he choreographed Best Little Whorehouse in Texas with Tommy Tune and Day in Hollywood Night in the Ukraine. And I'd seen him play Bobby in a chorus line. And so, you know, I was scared to death to audition for him. And so I was having some really good auditions for Patent Leather Shoes. And so I got called back. I was working at Goodspeed Opera House and I got called back to dance the next day. And so in my callback group was Vicki Lewis and Davis Gaines. And Davis and I were working up at Goodspeed together. So Vicki was my girlfriend at the time, don't ask. And she and I, she's a real dancer. She and I went to Cincinnati Conservatory together, and she's a real dancer. And Davis and I were movers, you know, movers and shakers. And anyway, so we got Vicki to ask a friend of hers to teach her the combination who had already been in for the audition. So we learned the combination before going in to learn the combination. And so, you know, we were being very careful when we went in for Tommy and just trying to do everything in counts of 8. And just when he would teach it to us, we'd do that 8 and then we'd stop and, you know, do all this. And I got carried away at one point, and I went on for like 16 more beats. I was like, I was so proud. And I stopped. I just caught myself and I looked, and Tommy was standing there with his arms folded, looking at me. And he said, huh, what's that about? Just understand your style, Tommy. And somehow I got away with it. And Vicki and I got the jobs. And we went on to do the show. And it was a big hit in Philadelphia, and it was a big turkey on Broadway. But I told Tommy the story when we went out and got drunk in Philadelphia, and he laughed. And he said, I knew you knew it. It was okay. It was okay. But he was great.
You mean Tommy? THOMMIE
Correct. Very good.
And can Michael spell dancer in Keene and other shows and founder of Triton Gallery, Roger Puckett?
And Deal 40 member.
Wait, who's me? No.
Yes, yes.
So tell me, Roger Puckett?
Yeah.
Okay. ROGERPUCKET? T?
Yes.
Down, Michael. Almost.
2 for T.
His wife Yvonne, both members.
Charles, do the next one.
Okay, let's see Kevin Winkler take on Christopher Chadman.
For Chadman. CHRISTOPHER
Right.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yay, yay.
Okay, so Hairspray and Legally Blonde choreographer Jerry Mitchell is our next celebrity name for Jamie DeRoy.
Can you spell the name Grover Dale? Grover Dale is an amazing dancer, choreographer, and artist. I worked with Grover on the musical Jerome Robbins Broadway. Grover was, so important and actually taught us all cool. Jerry Robbins didn't teach it to us. Grover Dale taught it to us. I mean, Grover knew the stuff better than anybody, and it was a pleasure to learn it from Grover Dale.
Oh, okay. Groverdale.
Right.
Correct. Okay, dancer in Pippin, Chicago, One Night Stand, A Chorus Line, and More, Cheryl Clark has a name for Brad Oscar.
Hi, this is Cheryl Clark, the original Pop in Cell Block Tango for Bob Fosse's 1975 original Broadway Chicago. And I brought our playbill from when we previewed in Philadelphia. And I am so honored to be doing the spelling bee with you all. Jerry Orbach, the best Billy Flynn I ever worked with. We all love Jerry Orbach. And he was a fantastic talent, as most of you know, and historically you will get to know, on Broadway, as well as, of course, later on in his years of fame with Law and Order. And Jerry Orbach, my story about Jerry is that he and I were the first original Actors Equity deputies voted by the company in Philadelphia when we were trying out. And I want to encourage everybody coming up in the business to be union activists, to be an Actors Equity deputy if you have the opportunity. Jerry, all Broadway shows had a principal Actors Equity deputy, and I was the chorus Actors Equity deputy. And I still have the original list of the office in New York City sending me to Philadelphia. Cheryl Clark, chorus Actors Equity deputy. Is this your final cast list? So Jerry and I were very hands-on to protect the company if there were ever any issues, even if it was plumbing or the dressing room needed to be painted or a floor was too slippery, we would take it, Jerry and I would take those matters representing the cast to the management, and we would work it out.
JerryOrbach.
Right. Now here's the great Karen Morrow, star of I Had a Ball, The Grass Harp, The Selling of the President, and more. She would like George Dansker to spell
Tom Pankow from I Had a Ball. He was Anna White's assistant. And but the thing is that he gave us all the orders because Anna would sit in the back of the theater. She never came up and told us what to do. So she would tell Tommy, and then Tommy would have to run up the aisle and tell the dancers what to do and tell me what to do. He was a doll, just a doll.
Tom Pankow. Panko.
Right. Very good.
Press agent extraordinaire of Into the Woods, 42nd Street, Big River, Nicholas Nickleby, and more, Josh Ellis would like Barry Biern to spell.
This theater and dance legend directed, choreographed, and designed the costumes for the Broadway musical Timbuktu. During the rehearsal period, he would have a stretch class before each rehearsal. And if you had worked on Timbuktu in any capacity, you were invited to come. As the show's press agent, I went to the stretch class pretty frequently. Another frequent person at these stretch classes was an elderly woman who stretched like a 20-year-old dancer. I couldn't get over it. It was a friend of this director choreographer's, and she was Gloria Swanson. So, how do you spell Jeffrey Holder?
GeoffreyHolder.
Right.
Correct.
So now, the inimitable Charles Busch, author and star of Times Square Angel, Allergist's Wife, Lily Dare, would like John to...
Mary Lou Henner is a wonderful musical theater performer. I first saw her in Over Here, which I loved that show. And boy, I think they must have had more Stars of Tomorrow in that show than anything. My God, we didn't realize at the time that we were seeing Mary Lou Henner and John Travolta and Treat Williams, Phyllis Somerville. But I didn't get to work with Mary Lou on any kind of musical material. She replaced Michelle Lee in my play, The Tale of the Allergist's Wife on Broadway. And it's kind of funny, actually, that it was a straight play, but everybody connected with that show, as far in the cast, were musical performers. It was kind of too bad it wasn't a musical. We had, Tony Roberts and Linda Lavin and Michelle Lee, and then eventually Valerie Harper, who started off as a dancer as well. But in our replacement cast, we had Mary Lou Henner, and she's just a lot of fun. However, it was kind of interesting that she was quite a bit younger. The whole replacement cast was younger than the original cast, and it was a contemporary play with many references to the characters' activities over the previous 25 years. And so Mary Lou came to me somewhat sheepishly, but to say that it didn't really make sense for that she could have gone to the March on Washington in 1960, whenever that was. So I did have to do a little bit of an update for her and Richard Kind, who also took over. And that was interesting. Then she did the play again in a wonderful production at the Bucks County Playhouse. Yeah, with Marsha Mason. And that was a very successful production. It kind of, I think, was one of the first shows of the new Bucks County Playhouse when it really became revived and successful again. Yeah, she's a fascinating, fun person.
Mariluhenner.
Very good.
Mary Testa is our next performer, and what a performer she is. You may remember her from last season's Oklahoma or Xanadu, Marie Christine, The Rink, Barnum, and On the Town, and she has a name for Kevin Winkler.
Kenny Ortega, who was the director for a very short time of a show I did called Marilyn, an American Fable, in 1984. Kenny was also another great guy, really fun to work with, but he didn't last long on Marilyn. Marilyn was kind of a mess in that there were a million producers, a million writers. Half the people came from LA, half the people came from New York. So it was a real kind of a mess. Let's just put it that way. So my memories of Kenny were small, but I just a while ago finished doing the revival of Oklahoma on Broadway, and one night I got a note saying, Kenny Ortega is waiting for you outside. And it was wonderful to see him because he's done some amazing work. I mean, one of them being that movie with Jennifer, oh God, now I can't think of the name of it. Nobody Puts Baby in the Corner, that movie. Kenny did all the dances, and they were extraordinary and just so catchy and so made you want to get up and dance. So Kenny is a genius.
Kenny Ortega.
Correct.
Okay, good. Great.
Ron Young is back with our next name, Jamie. This is a really hard one. Take a crack at it. Take a deep breath.
Tommy Toon, but I worked with him in My One and Only. He called me to be his standby in My One and Only. And this was an unusual thing because we rehearsed in New York and then we were going out of town to try out in Boston. At that time, the producers decided to fire the current director, and Tommy would take over as director as well as choreographer with Tommy Walsh. To do that, he had to direct me and all the rehearsals, and then I would talk him through the changes. And at evening during the previews in Boston, I would take him to the right entrance, meet him at the exit, get him to the, and I literally walked him through the show after we rehearsed something different. So it was a big part of my life for the national tour as well. All told, I got to go on about 50 times for Tommy. But he probably influenced my life as a dancer more than anybody else. And can you spell Tommy Tune? And don't think of the comic.
T-T, no, Tommytune. It's a tall one.
Yeah.
And here's Ted Chapin again with another name for Candy Brown.
She was one of Broadway's most innovative choreographers, starting with Oklahoma. How do you spell Agnes DeMille?
Agnes DeMille. Yes, I can. AGNESDEMILLE.
Correct. Jim Brochu's up next, and he's got the name of one of the great dancers for Bari Kleinbort to spell.
Marge Champion and I go way, way back. One of the great ladies of all time. She was the dance model for Snow White, and she and I were in St. John's, Newfoundland, and we had just gotten off the ship there, and she wanted to take a walk. Now, she was only 84 and I was 60 at the time, but she saw the biggest hill and she said, come on, we have to climb it. So we climbed the greatest hill in St. John's, Newfoundland. Neither one of us had ever been there. And when we got to the top, what was the name of the street that we got to? It was Gower Street.
MARGECHAMPION.
Jerry Mitchell worked with this great choreographer who he will be asking Lawrence Leritz to spell.
Can you spell the name Tony Sharmely? A world-renowned, fantastic choreographer who I had the pleasure of doing his work in a musical, my second Broadway show, Woman of the Year. Tony's work in Woman of the Year was spectacular, particularly in the song One of the Boys, where it was basically Lauren Bacall in a stage full of strong, incredible, powerful dancing men. And it was a barn burner of a number. I remember coming off stage night after night doing the number, literally having to stop in the wings with my dear friend Robert Warners and catch our breath as sweat was pouring down our faces. So thanks, Tony, for keeping me in shape.
Oh, my friend. TonyCharmoli.
Correct. Now Lee Wilkof's back for his second name.
Can you spell Kathleen Marshall? I worked with Kathy Marshall for the first time when I did She Loves Me. She was the assistant choreographer to her brother, Rob Marshall. Rob Marshall was our choreographer on that. And shortly after that, Rob went on to direct motion pictures. But Kathleen Marshall was my choreographer on Kiss Me, Kate. And she and the director, Michael Blakemore, are totally responsible. I had nothing to do with it for my Tony nomination in Kiss Me, Kate. They handed it to me on a platter. And the very first day of rehearsal for our choreography on the number Brush Up Your Shakespeare, as I usually do when I have to learn a dance, I started to cry because it's very frustrating for me and I think I'm never going to get it. But with a great choreographer who's patient with me, and Kathleen Marshall, the good thing about Kathy Marshall, she knows me really well. And she got to know me on She Loves Me and just is so intuitive. She knew what I could do and I couldn't do. And she knew that I could eventually get her steps, which I did. But the first day, it was rough. And I literally was weeping. But thanks to Kathleen Marshall, who literally was so patient with me and took her time, the number that we did, Brush Up Your Shakespeare, was, I have to say, and I had nothing to do with it. She had everything to do with it. It was brilliant.
KATHLEENMARSHALL.
Right.
Josh Ellis has the next name of someone we all know, and this is for Brad Oscar to spell.
This beloved Broadway dancer, singer, actor, director, and choreographer, started his career as almost an infant working with Bob Fosse on the original production of Sweet Charity. His next show was Oklahoma, where he worked with Agnes DeMille. Over the years, he worked with Ernie Flatt in Lorelei, and most famously with Gower Champion on the original Broadway production of 42nd Street, in which he originated the role of Billy Lawler. But a fun fact about this person, he is the envy of many because he slept with Juliet Prowse. How do you spell Leroy Reams?
Really? Can't I just tell a couple stories? One night, Paul.
A couple?
No, it was Tammy Crime. I worship the man. Leeroy. Don't get this wrong. Reams.
Right. Okay, here's Steven Brinberg, who would like Jamie to spell.
Hello, this is B. Arthur. You know, I was offered the role of Grisabella in Cats. I didn't think it was for me, frankly, but it would have been wonderful to work with Gillian Lynn. That's all.
Oh, thanks.
Talk to him.
Graziella. It's not Graziella.
Oh, good. Gillianlynn. E?
Yes.
Jamie, yeah, right.
Everything Jamie's going to do will wait for an E at the end.
E. I'd probably be disqualified in a real spelling bee.
You mean real? Okay, Charles.
And Candy Brown is up at bat again for this name from Cheryl Clark.
My second pick for this spelling bee is the fantastic Bob Fosse talent, Charlene Ryan. So I've made these spellings a little tricky for you all, not that you're going to just guess right away. Charlene Ryan was our original Go to Hell Kitty and was one of the very, very fantastic Go to Hell Kitties that I worked with over the years. She also was brilliant in Bob Fosse's Sweet Charity, a real standout in the film. And she goes all the way back at age 16, really being formed, coming from Queens, I think Charlene told me, as a Luigi dancer, really loved Luigi, studied with him. And so that is the second person to spell, the great Charlene Ryan, the original Go to Hell Kitty in Bob Fosse's Chicago.
Charlene Ryan, yes, our first our original Go to Hell Kitty, yes. CharleneRyan.
Right. Well, now the names are going to start getting a little more difficult.
Oh no.
A little. Then they're going to be really, no one will be able to spell them. Okay, Charles.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
If we know these people and we have a good story,
yeah, tell it.
I mean, like I had to buy Hanya home her last oven. I mean, she was 96 and she needed an oven. And I was working for Martin Pohl's assistant, Martin Pohl's aunt. And so she said to me, John Darling, can you go to the Lower East Side, buy Hanya a stove and have it installed? So I had to do this and sit there while they were installing it and talk to this 96-year-old lady telling me all these stories about how she first had the first black boys on Broadway tap dancing. But that was my Hanya home story.
Very good. Yeah, tell stories if you have them.
Yeah,
I'm sure Candy has a ton about Chicago and all those girls there.
Okay, so now
I have a great Tony Charmely story.
All right, go ahead.
When Tony Charmely choreographed Woman of the Year on Broadway with Lauren Bacall as the opening star, they were looking to replace her. So during rehearsal, Cantor and Ebb turned to Tony and said, who would you like to replace Lauren? And he said, well, how about Kim Novak? She's a good friend of mine. And John said to Tony, well, can she sing? Tony pointed at the stage to Lauren Bacall and said, well, can she?
Ooh.
It was
Okay.
very, very funny.
And now Karen Morrow has got another name for us, and let's see what Lawrence can do.
He's he's not film. He did 2 Broadway shows. He did, I had to write that, the Happy Time. He did that. And I'm talking about choreographing, and Hallelujah Baby. That was Leslie Uggams' first show, and he was a choreographer of that. And we were very, very dear friends, very, very close friends. But then he went on the Gold Diggers. There might be people listening who remember the Gold Diggers. There were girls, singers, and dancers who wore cute costumes and stuff like that. And they eventually got their own show and just went on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So he got all his awards from that. But he was a very dear friend. And when Nancy Dussault and I did our first big time act out here in California at the Backlot, we asked him to choreograph the show. And this is where he was so smart. He knew that Nancy and I learned two entirely different ways. I mean, my manner of learning is different than Nancy's, and my manner of executing was different than Nancy's. And he never made us do everything exactly alike. He would give us a referendum, and then we would do our own thing. And that's what made it so successful, because we each were always ourselves. And we have Kevin to thank for that. After that, we had some other choreographers do our specials and stuff, and they didn't have the smarts to do that. But I will always say, Kevin he just knew. He knew his people. Also, when I did the Jim Neighbors Hour, we did a thing with oh dear, she played Johnny Belinda. It was a movie about a deaf woman, and she was a guest on the show. And they wanted her to do a song in signing, or to sign a song that other people were singing. And they said, we don't know any choreographers that sign. And I said, I do, Kevin Carlisle. So they brought him in, and he taught her how to sign the song. Oh God, I can't think of her name. Is this terrible? Of course, 40 people are going to call you and say who it is. But Kevin, I mean, he's still with us, and he's adorable, and he's smart. And he always was very well. And he was a wonderful dancer too. He was a brilliant dancer. So that's my chum, Kevin Carlisle.
Kevin Kevin Carlisle. KEVINCARLISE.
No.
No. Would Barry Kleinbort like to steal this one?
Sure. KEVINCARLISLE.
Right. You left off the S.
That's all right. I thought they meant Warren Carlisle.
N-O.
Okay, now Charles Busch has a name for Barry Kleinbort.
Joey McNeely was a choreographer of a musical that I wrote with the late Rusty McGee called The Green Heart, and it was produced by Manhattan Theater Club. And I really enjoyed Joey McNeely. He's so talented, and it's so much fun. And I do remember this one particular number in our show called The Easy Life that Ruth Williamson did with the ensemble. And he somehow managed in the 4 minutes of that number to have Ruth, who's the most skilled performer, he had her evoking just about every great female musical comedy star, from Gwen Verdon to Merman, within those 4 minutes, just through body postures. And it was really a real highlight of that show.
JOEYMCNEELY. N-E-E-L-Y.
Wrong.
Oh.
It's just another E at the end before the Y.
No, no, that's wrong also.
That's K.
Would Kevin Winkler like to steal that one?
Let me give it a shot.
Don't give it to the competition, Barry.
I just knew what I did wrong.
Yeah.
Joey,
Yeah.
MC, capital K-N-E-E-L-E-Y.
No.
No.
You have the K right, and there's no E at the end.
And let's turn it over to George Dansker to steal now for the final steal.
Oh.
Okay, one more time for the name.
Joey McNeely.
Okay, Joey McKneely.
Yes, very good.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. And Ron Young's next name is for Kevin Winkler.
The next choreographer is Buddy Schwab. I worked with Buddy in the 1970 revival of The Boyfriend. I played opposite Judy Carn, who was Polly, and then Sandy Duncan and Harvey Evans were Macy and Bobby. Now, Buddy had a great feel for the 20s and for style. So it was fun to work with him. Now, I had a duet with Judy, and I Could Be Happy With You. And there was a tap break in it, and Buddy was a tapper as well. And he let me put in a very flashy break from Paul Draper that I'd worked on in class with Paul. And I'm thrilled because it's still on a cast album. So can you spell Buddy Schwab?
Buddy Schwab. Oh, B-U-D-D-Y-S-C-H-W-A-B.
Right. Lee Wilkof's final name is for George.
Can you spell Constance Grappo, or as I call her, Connie Grappo? Connie Grappo was the assistant to the director, or the assistant director, on Little Shop of Horrors. And I auditioned for Little Shop of Horrors. And apparently they tell me that it was between myself and another actor. What's his name? He's pretty well known. Oh, his name's Nathan Lane. And it was between myself and Nathan Lane for the role of Seymour in the original Little Shop of Horrors. And Howard Ashman could not decide who to cast, either myself or Nathan. And his assistant director, Constance Grappo, or as I call her, Connie Grappo, convinced him to cast me. I don't know why. And because of that, I decided to marry her. And we've been married now for, what year is it? 2021. We've been married 37 years. So, Connie Grappo, I know how to spell it. Do you?
Connie, C-O-N-N-I-E, and Grappo would be G-R-A-P-P-O?
Right.
Correct. Here's Penny Fuller again for Barry, and she would like you to spell
Barry Biern.
Dania.
Barry Biern.
Oh yes, of course I have to say which one. For Barry Biern.
Well, I've got a harder one now. How about Dania Krupska? Dania Krupska was the choreographer of Rex, which was one of Richard Rodgers' last musicals. And it starred Nicol Williamson as Henry VIII, and I as Anne Boleyn, one of the wives that he beheaded, and our little scamp of a daughter, Elizabeth. So Dania Krupska was the choreographer. So it was nice to see her again, because she had also been the choreographer of the very first show I did in New York as a non-equity child, practically. Linda and Lavine and I were cottontails. That's what we were, cottontails, little girls in a musical called OK, off Broadway. And Dania Krupska was the choreographer. And then many years later, there she is, the choreographer of Rex. And at one point, she had us all watching a festival of entertainment. And I felt like I was in applause again because I watched a big chorus number in applause for hours, clapping away, but in the whatever century King Henry VIII was in. And then there was a young boy who was from Kansas, I think, and he had been the baton twirling champion of America. And she had him come on in the whatever century King Henry VIII was in, twirling his baton and throwing it way up into the thing and catching it. That I remember about Dania Krupska.
Oh.
Come on. I mean, I'm a political comedian. I know, you know. All right. What is his name again?
Her name is Dania. Dania, spelled Dania.
Dania.
Very good. Krupska.
Krupska.
Oh, yeah, there you go. It's easy.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, Steven Brinberg, as Katharine Hepburn, will have a name for John.
This is Katharine Hepburn. There are so many marvelous choreographies doing musicals. I only did one musical, but one of the most marvelous ones that I've been aware of is Mr. Christopher Gattelli.
Christopher what?
Gattelli.
Gattelli?
Gattelli.
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 Christopher Gattelli.
No. Very close.
And let's have Brad Oscar have a chance at that one.
All right. What you spelled it so fast. Christopher.
Yeah.
Christopher Gattelli. Gattelli.
No, that's what John
That's
said.
what he just said? Yeah. Then I'm out.
Copycat.
Sorry, Chris.
Who else would like to try?
Are you picking something? You just said Kevin already tried it. Who's it? I mean, I can do it.
Okay, do it.
Christopher Gattelli.
Correct.
Because I coached him when he was 16 years old and lived in
Correct.
Philadelphia.
Oh, wow.
And he said, all I want to do is be in Cats more than anything. I had a friend, Bethany Samuelson, in Cats at the time. She said, would you coach my friend? He's dreamed to be in Cats. I opened the door and this adorable kid, and I coach him, send him on his way. A year later, I'm walking past the Winter Garden. I go, little Christopher Gattelli got into Cats. Oh, it's so exciting. And he became a big choreographer, you know.
Great.
That's great.
Got a good name for Brad Oscar to spell. That name is Charles Weidman.
One more time. Charles.
Charles Weidman.
Charles Wiedman.
No.
Barry, say something. Give your hand up.
Oh, yeah. Can I do it?
Yeah.
CharlesWeidman.
EI.
Like John or Jerome.
Right.
Right.
Thank you.
But not related.
All right. Jerry Mitchell has a name for you, Barry Kleinbort.
I have a name for him.
This is a family show.
Charles is still here. Yes.
Can you spell the name Annalie Ashford? Annalie was a great actress. She was in a couple of shows for me, Legally Blonde and Kinky Boots. A fabulous Lauren, funny girl. But I will never forget her audition for Legally Blonde. The first time I hired Annalie Ashford, she walked into the room and she had on these high heels with plastic pink bows. And as she did the scene talking to Bruiser, she was the only girl who could make me believe she was talking to a Chihuahua. She made me laugh and she got the part.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Okay. ANNALEIGHASHFORD.
Correct.
Wow.
And Jim Brochu's back for Candy Brown to spell.
Donna McKechnie and I go way, way back. In fact, the winner of the Best Actress Award for Chorus Line and I were up at Goodspeed in 1972. And 2 o'clock in the morning, she had the audacity to ask me to go out and buy her ice cream, which I did. She wanted pistachio. So spell Donna McKechnie.
You better get this right, Miss Brown.
Oh, Oh my goodness. I love you, Donna, but let's see. Donna. Oh my goodness. As many times as I've seen it. McKechnie.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
I wasn't sure if it was just the E or IE at the end.
If there was only an E.
And
at
make
the
sure,
end,
and make sure even if you have a big sign and all the letters are in caps, you cannot cap McKechnie. You have to have the Mc in lowercase correctly.
Yeah.
Madonna.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now Mary Testa has another name. This for John.
Sergio Trujillo, who this last Tony cycle won a Tony for his work. And I just remember seeing, because I was at the Tonys as well as nominated, and he was so beyond thrilled. My only memory, I had done Guys and Dolls with Sergio, and I remember one day Sergio and Des McAnuff came to me and said, "Can you help us make Bushel and a Peck funnier?" And my suggestions were, I think you should use some farm noises at key places in the song. But he's a wonderful choreographer.
I was going to say how many L? SERGIOTRUJILLO.
Correct.
And Ted Chapin's last name for us is for Kevin Winkler.
She was married to film composer Dmitry Tiomkin, had her own dance company, and choreographed several musicals, including Jubilee and Lady in the Dark. How do you spell Albertina Rausch?
Oh, God.
You're the perfect person to do this, Kevin.
No. Albertina, ALBERTINA, Rausch. RAUSCH?
No.
Incorrect. Let's give that to Jamie DeRoy.
Oh, God. Can I pass it on to Barry Kleinbort?
No, Barry's done enough. Pick someone else on the team.
Barry's too smart. You're too smart, Kleinbort. I'll dance you to the... No, forget it.
I studied actors, not dancers. I had this all wrong.
I know Jamie used to do dance.
Oh, God. How about George doing it? It's called passing the buck.
Thank you. Okay. So Albertine. Okay.
No, Albertina.
Albertina. ALBERTINA. And then Rausch. RAUCHE.
No.
So would
Anybody else want to try? Free try.
Is there a Z?
Sure. Is it? Oh, you want to try it again, Kevin? Because
Well, Albertina, ALBERTINA, is it RASCH?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. I put the U in by mistake. Yeah. Okay.
You said Rausch. When you said Ausch, we thought.
Yeah. Okay.
He did the bandwagon and Three's a Crowd. And all the, okay. Penny Fuller. All right. Well, here we go. Penny Fuller's ready to give Jamie a name.
Now, there's one other person I want to mention, and that's Graziella Daniele. She was the choreographer for probably my favorite musical that I've done, probably. And it was called A New Brain, written by Bill Finn. And I loved this show very much. And I had a very difficult number. It was called Throwing Out the Books. And before I left New York and went out to California many years, many years, I guess, and I came back and I'm doing this musical and I looked at the music, I said, well, what is this? I said, before I left, you only had, you just hummed the tune and I sang it back. This, you have to count and sing and everything. I don't know how to do this. It was a very weird, if I don't throw out the books, I will throw myself out the window. It was crazy. So I learned it, but she made me throw out books till the fact that I almost had to, go to those trainers because I had thrown out so many books as I had to rehearse this number. But she was wonderful. And I can't remember who the writer was we both loved, but for years we would send each other back books together. So, I mean, being a person who was basically trained as an actress, I was very lucky to have 3 really wonderful choreographers.
I've been waiting for Graae to come on. Come on.
Graae Danielle.
No, many of those same letters were in the name though.
Graciela Danielle. Okay, well, somebody else take it then. Barry, do it.
Okay.
Okay,
No, someone from the other team, Barry.
From the other team, sorry. Ooh.
I'll take it.
Kleinbort?
I'll take it. She's a Dancers Over 40 advisory board member.
No, you're on our team.
Get that wrong.
You're on our team, John.
All right, so let's
here,
give
I'll
this to Lawrence. To Lawrence to spell.
Graziella. Graziella. No.
No.
I mean,
Look, G-R-A.
Candy Brown. Candy Brown.
Wait, go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead, Michael. Was that you?
No, you go, Candy.
Okay. I think it's Graciel. Wait a minute. Graciela.
Correct.
Danielle. Or
No.
just one L?
Incorrect.
Just
One
one
L.
L.
Right, one L.
And she was in your, she was,
I know. Sorry, guys.
Game,
I love
game.
Nobody gets that one.
One
Okay.
L in
Whose
Danielle.
turn?
Brad wants to go.
Cheryl Clark is up at bat for Lawrence with one of Dancers Over 40's oldest current members.
Richard Cortez, who was in this company, and he was a fantastic Bob Fosse triple threat, singer, dancer, actor, going all the way back to the 50s. And he was also in Bob Fosse's film, Sweet Charity. I did Pippin with Richard Cortez, and people call him Dick, also Dick Cortez. And I'm going to tell you a little anecdote when we were in Philadelphia previewing Chicago. It was a very, very stressful time, as I said, and on our night off, with everything that was going on and all the drama, Richard Cortez knew I was very interested as a young 21-year-old in Pippin to work on opera and my voice. And we both had very good operatic voices. So he took me on our one night off in Philadelphia to hear the Richard Wagner Liesendonck Lieder. And it was fantastic. And then in New York City, he told me all about Colony Records on Broadway, which sadly does not exist anymore. But he told me certain opera singers like Jesse Norman, who sang the Wagner Liesendonck Lieder, the Liesendonck Lieder. And I got all my sheet music there from for auditions. And that was the famous Colony Records on Broadway that sadly, I think, closed during the pandemic.
DICKKORTHAZE.
Right.
You better get that right.
He's a board member, right?
Right. It's like you, yes.
All right.
And in his 90s, right?
93.
Yes.
Good for him.
Still kicking.
And he was in Call Me Madam, a replacement in the 50s, as well as in How to Succeed for Fosse, Sweet Charity, Pippin, Chicago, Dancing. His last show was Anything Goes with Patty LaPone in 87. Talk about career.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks for the question, Cheryl.
And Graziella just only has one of every
One
letter,
L.
right?
Yeah.
We never got to that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was one L, I realized her
right.
last name. Yeah.
Everybody's a critic. Who's
Somebody wants to spell. He got
Not
it
my
right.
dog. Not my dog.
Lacey, come here. Lacey. Come
Oh.
here. Lacey.
College kids don't belong in spelling bees.
a typical?
Adopted a Broadway Barks. Lena Hall adopted her sister. She's got a big mouth sometimes.
P-E-R-S.
Okay, Charles Busch is asking George to spell.
Jeff Veazey was just a fabulous character. I mean, he was a wonderful Broadway dancer, and his best friend was Susan Stroman. And they used to do these incredible recreations of classic musical numbers that Fred Astaire would do with Ginger Rogers or Gene Kelly and Judy Garland, and they would do it absolutely perfect, you know. And they really were continually looking for some kind of a structure to put these numbers together, and they never quite found it, but they were so great. And Jeff came in. He was a very good friend of Andy Halliday, who's my oldest friend from summer camp in the East Village, and we needed a musical number. And except for Andy, who had some dance training, the rest of us really were just hopelessly just ill-equipped to do a dance number. And Jeff, you know, even though he had that really kind of great bitchy wit, just never lost his patience with us. And he created musical numbers for Vampire Lesbians of Sodom that were really witty, and audiences, you know, just got a great kick out of them. And the humor was not the fact that we did them so badly, but that the choreography transcended non-dancers. And there really was a great gift that he had.
Okay, Jeff, Jeff, Veazey. I'm going to try Veazey.
Correct. Very good.
Correct. Yeah. Josh Ellis's next name is a great crossover choreographer and dancer for Bari Biern to spell.
53 years ago, this choreographer formed his own dance company, and it's still thriving to this day. On Broadway, he received a Tony Award nomination for choreographing the original Broadway production of Into the Woods. See, I'm under the boot at the theater at the Martin Beck. You know that, but did you know that he started his career as a go-go dancer at Trudy Heller's in Greenwich Village, a famous discotheque? You don't believe me? He told the New York Times that he wore white go-go boots and white bell-bottom trousers. Can you spell Lar Lubavitch?
Oh, Lauren Lubavitch?
Lar
Lubavitch.
Larlubavich.
No.
Correct. Maybe Michael Lavine would like to try that.
Sure. Larlubovitch.
Correct. Okay, now Karen Morrow has the name of a choreographer she worked with a lot for Michael.
And then we have Donald McHale. I call him Donnie McHale. That was fascinating with I'm Solomon, because he had a whole bunch of Israelis who came over to do the show. And it was that kind of dancing with the drums and everything, which were so wonderful. But I didn't get to work with Donnie because I can't dance to drums, and I was not a native. There I was off doing something else. So, but so talented, just absolutely.
DonaldMcKayle.
Correct.
Jason Graae has got a name for Candy Brown to spell.
Patrice Serrero. So I worked with Patrice in a show called Stardust. And Stardust originated, it seems like all I did were reviews. I did a lot of reviews on Broadway. They started like at small theaters. Stardust started at Theater Off Park. And it was a great tribute to Mitchell Parrish, who wrote the lyrics for Sophisticated Lady and Moonlight Serenade and Stardust and all sorts of incredible songs. And so we opened off Broadway and it got great reviews. 4 out of 6 of us in the cast all went to Cincinnati Conservatory. Jimmy Walton, Kim Criswell, Maureen Brennan, and myself. And Patrice was our choreographer. Then we moved to Broadway and we had to expand it. And it was a really tiny show. And, you know, Patrice she was amazing because we were mostly singers, except for Jimmy and Andrea Shields. She was so patient, and, you know, she made us look really good, you know, doing like small, easy stuff. But she had her hands full with us. You know, we were a lot, this little 6 of us doing it. I loved Patrice, and she's like she's part of like Broadway royalty, and her brother Jimmy as well assisted her, and he was delightful too. I love her.
Oh no, can I pass it to you? Oh my gosh. Oh,
Sound it out. Sound it out.
Sound it out. Yeah, exactly.
okay. What's the name again? Is it Joy or Joyce?
No, Patrice.
Patrice.
Well, the hearing's really going, Candy.
You're starting good, Candy.
The hearing is gone.
Hey, leave her alone. She can grind.
Okay. Okay. Patrice. Patrice. What's the last name?
Sorriero.
Wait, what?
Sorriero.
Sorriero. I could go a few ways. Okay, Sorriero. Sorrearo.
No.
Let's have Brad Oscar try that one.
Aren't we on the same team?
The other team.
We're a different team.
Don't we give it to the other team?
Yeah, give it to the other team.
Yeah,
Yes.
give it to the other team.
Okay, let's have Michael Lavine try that one.
What's the first name again?
Patrice.
Patrice.
Candy, just like you, I forgot it. Patriero.
Correct.
Yes, correct.
Whoa,
Long
good for
time
you.
secret steps. Long
Good
time
for
secret
you.
steps.
Good for you, Michael.
And
Okay. Go ahead.
another Dancers Over 40 member, James Dybas of Pacific Overtures, Do I Hear a Waltz, Scarlet Pimpernel, and more, would like Brad Oscar to spell.
Hi, everybody. It's James Dybas here. Welcome. I'm a longtime member of Dancers Over 40, and I hope that you'll consider being a part of our corps de dance. If you're not already a member, please consider, pardon the pun, kicking in whatever you can to keep Dancers Over 40 prospering, alive, and here's that word again, kicking. Wonderful choreographer, Anna Sokolow. I met Anna Sokolow when I was a part of Jerome Robbins' American Theater Lab. A group of 10 of us were chosen to work on experimental theater over a period of 6 months. Some of the people who were really dance trained, who were part of Jerry Robbins' American Theater Lab, were James Mitchell, who later went on to do the soap opera All My Children, and Catherine Damon, who was one of the 2 sisters in the TV series Soap, Billy Crystal's mother, Erin Martin, who was a longtime Jerry Robbins dancer, and James Moore, who was also a Robbins dancer. So the other people within the company had some dance training because we all sang, danced, and act. They had some dance training, but not like the 4 that I just mentioned. And one of those other people that were part of the company was Jerry Ragney, who we would be doing improvs on things, and he would be sitting against the wall with a yellow pad of paper, writing things, wanting everybody to think he was writing about what we were doing in the workshop that day. I said to him, Raggles, what are you writing? He wanted Robbins to think that he was writing down what we're doing in that day at the workshop. And I said, what are you writing every day? He said, I'm writing a musical. I said, you're writing a musical? What are you going to call it? And he said, Hair. And I went, Hair. Whoa, 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 whoa. And we just had a laugh. Well, the laugh was on me, needless to say. And I said to him, why don't you use Anna Sokolow to choreograph And Anna Sokolow was the first person to choreograph hair when it was first done at the Public Theater. There were some problems. She left the show, but nobody knew it. She didn't get credit for it, but a lot of her work for the musical Hair stayed in the show until it opened on, along with its opening on Broadway, at the Public Theater and then on Broadway. So yeah, that's Jerry Ragney for you. And Anna Sokolow would come in. We would work every day from 10 a.m. till about 6 p.m., 5 and sometimes 6 days a week on different experimental theater pieces. And Anna Sokolow would come in 3 times a week and give us modern dance classes. She called it movement for actors. We would do all of the different contractions and all of the different port de bras and different kind of things. But Anna Sokolow was this tiny little lady. She was 4'11", say, but she was a giant. She was fierce. She was fierce. She didn't let you get away with anything. And she told us that any movement that we did had to be motivated by thought and that it had to come from our guts. She was fierce. She was fierce. And she would clap. And we knew when we had to do a contraction or when we had to release or when we had to, it was just amazing. So we all loved Anna Sokolow. I had just seen her do a piece at the City Center for the Joffrey Ballet called Opus 67, where all of her dancers, let's say there were 12 or 14 of them, were in Levi's and t-shirts and, you know, kind of dressed like what the actor dancers in West Side Story would be like. They were modern day kids, and it was tough, and it was about urban isolation and despair. And what would happen is at the end of the number, they would take off their leather jackets or Levi jackets, whatever they were, and they'd throw it in a pile in the middle of the stage. And then they would look at the audience, walk slowly towards the lip of the stage, still pointing at the audience, and jump in the pit. That was the end of her ballet. It was amazing. You could hear the audience go, ah! The dancers just disappeared. They jumped down into the pit. Anyhow, Anna did extraordinary work. She did pieces. One piece is called Dreams. Another one is called Rooms. And they're done all over the world. Her ballets are produced all over the world. She's one of the premier modern dance choreographers. And it was my great pleasure to know her and to become good friends with her. I miss her terribly. So Anna Sokolow is the name I'd like you to spell.
You think?
Would he? Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Can I use that last name in a sentence right now? One, Anna.
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 A-N-N-A. Am I wrong? Because I could stop here. Okay, great. Sokolow. S-A-K-A-L-O-W.
Incorrect.
Incorrect.
So
no kidding.
let's try that for
No kidding.
George Dansker. Let's
Okay.
see.
Okay. First name Anna, A-N-N-A.
Anna Sokolow.
I'll try S-O-K-O-L-O.
Yeah. Keep going.
F-F, if it's Sokolow.
Yeah, Sokolow.
Oh. S-O-K-O-L-O-W.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
She did Street Scene and Camino Royale and all.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now the next names, if anybody can do these, it's a miracle. Okay. So James Dybas also asked for
Igor Yuskevich. I grew up in Chicago, and when I was a teenager, I was given a scholarship to study dance with one of the top teachers in Chicago by the name of Edna McRae. I had classes all day from 10 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the evening. Ballet, tap, character dancing, pas de deux, and more ballet, and more ballet. And finally, one day, I was at home, I was at the studio, and for some reason, I think it was Christmas Eve, the telephone rang. I picked it up, and it was Miss McCrae calling to tell me that the Ballet Russe was in town, and they were at the Chicago Opera House, and they needed people to be supernumeraries, supers to be part of the crowd scenes within the ballet. And she's told me that I should get down to the Chicago Opera House, tell them at the stage door who I am, and go into the costume shop to get fitted for my peasant outfit. I was one of the peasants. But the great thing about it was that never having seen a ballet in my life, the first time I saw one, I was in it. It was Giselle with Igor Yuskevich and Alicia Alonso. And at that point in time, and he had to very carefully lead her onto the stage and take her off of the stage. And when they were doing the pas de deux, it was like magic. He was there for her every second, and she trusted him implicitly. So there I was, watching the pas de deux and Giselle. I was so enthralled with what they were doing and what the dance was about and the music with that full orchestra at the Chicago Opera House. I just kept looking, and all of a sudden I heard from the wings of the stage, psst, psst. I didn't realize that all of the other peasants had left. I was standing there watching Igor Yuskevich partner the glorious Alicia Alonso.
Of Dansker.
Okay, that's for me, correct?
Yep.
I can give it away. Okay. Igor, I-G-O-R.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Yuskevich sounds to be like U-S-K-A-V-I-C-H.
Nope.
Not
No.
that's not no.
This is Russian. There's always a lot more letters than you think.
Okay,
Who on the
let's
other
have Kevin
team?
Winkler try this one.
Oh, no. I-G-O-R.
Yeah.
Okay. Y-U-S-K-A-O-V-I-C-H.
No.
No, let's
A lot of letters.
for the
Anybody else
next
want to
person
try?
think of the word you, like you should spell Igor Yuskevich for the start of and then if any Michael, do you want to try that one?
I can try I-G-O-R Y-O-U-S-K-E-V-I-C-H.
Close enough. It's
Close.
TCH.
TCH.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh,
Got
I
it.
just call him Igor.
Right. But I know him.
Okay.
And give this one a try, Kevin Winkler. The name is Bell Digja. Am I saying that right? I hope so.
Bell Didja.
Bell Digja.
say it again.
Bell Didja.
Is that one word?
Bell is one word, first name, and Didja is her second name.
Did you what?
You in the sentence?
Did you what?
Ever.
Bell, did you do the dishes?
Because it's Porchcapades, it's Bell Digit, not Bell.
B-L-L-E-D-I-D-J-A.
One more. A.
D-I-D-G-A.
Anybody else?
H?
Yes.
Oh.
J-A-H.
Okay.
Okay.
Charles, you
Mark?
keep track of all these winnings and losings here? I'm like so lost.
Well, we had to give some tough ones at the end. And here's one for John from Mary Testa.
Is Dan Ganectus, who who did the choreography for Xanadu. And he is a great guy. He's hilarious and so much fun to work with. But the one thing that I will tell you about him is that he is a genius baker. He makes incredibly gorgeous desserts and delicious and just really like cookbook, picture perfect desserts. He also runs a theater, I think, in Texas, some Houston. I can't remember which theater it is. He's a great guy, and I guess he's the artistic director there, and I'm sure it's wonderful there. I really enjoyed working with him, and I think I did like a reading, something else with him, but he's wonderful, and I look forward to working with him again in the future.
And connect, what?
Connect us.
Connect.
Yes.
Yes.
Connect this?
Connectus is how you pronounce it. That's how you pronounce
Connectus?
Connectus.
Dankneckis.
Yes. I spelled it phonetically, which would have made it easier.
If I could hear the word, couldn't hear the word.
Well, he pronounces it connectus, but it's connectigis. No one knows?
Is it Kneccht?
Yeah.
G-E-S?
Yes, very good.
Wow.
Excellent.
What did I say? K-N.
You got it right. Stop where you're quit while you're ahead.
Yes. Hey, I was afraid you were going to ask me to spell Baryshnikov. These are easy.
Oh.
That's easy.
Yeah, Knechatges.
Yes.
You did it.
I know him and I can't spell it.
You never wrote him a check.
I guess not.
Let's do one for Michael, which let's have you spell Gemzy Delap.
Gemzy Delap. Gemzedelapppe.
Correct.
Yay.
Oh,
Remember until she was 96 years old.
Yeah.
What a great lady.
Yes.
We have so much of her on video,
Mm.
from, our Agnes DeMille event and a diversity event that is just wonderful. Yeah.
All right, so Steven Brinberg has a name for George to spell. Ready, George?
Hope so.
Hello, this is Gillian Anderson as Margaret Thatcher, and I'm talking about the choreographer Andy Blankenbuehler.
Okay. A-N-D-Y. Blankenbuehler. I know the name for sure. So B-L-A-N-K-E-N. Blanken, B-U-E-H-L-E-R.
Yes, very good.
Oh, right.
Great.
Yeah. And let's close off our special guest portion with James Dybas once again, here to ask Bari Biern.
Name I would like for you to spell is Yvonne Chateau. Yvonne Chateau was part of the 5 indigenous Oklahoma prima ballerinas. There were 5: Yvonne Chateau, Maria Tallchief, her sister Marjorie Tallchief, Muscaline Larkin, and Rosella Hightower. They were called, the 5 of them were called the 5 Moons. And when I was on tour with Guys and Dolls and 42nd Street, one of our stops was Oklahoma City. And tourist that I am, I wanted to visit the state capitol. So I walked over to the state capitol and looked all around at the architecture and the different things within the state capitol. And I looked up at the rotunda, the top of the main hall. And in the rotunda was this extraordinary mural of the 5 moons. The ballerinas were painted in the rotunda of, and are painted. They remain, of course, in the rotunda of the Oklahoma City State Capitol building. It was amazing how wonderful and glorious that they chose something from the arts to include in that magnificent building. So that's the name that I would like you to spell. Well, let me tell you this. My friend Teddy Kern, who's a wonderful choreographer and also a member of Dancers Over 40, when she was a little girl of about 11, studied, get this, she studied with Yvonne Chateau and Maria Tallchief both. And she didn't like ballet. She wanted to be a tap dancer, but they made her love what she was learning and what she could do. And she's had a wonderful career as a choreographer and a ballroom dance teacher, Teddy Kern. So that's Yvonne Chateau is the name that I would like for you to spell.
Can't you come back to me with Bob Fosse or Chateau? Oh, I hope it's spelled like I think it is. Okay, Ivan.
No, Yvonne. Okay, go ahead.
Yvonne, right? Isn't it?
Yvonne.
Am I wrong already?
Female.
C-H. Oh, Yvonne. Oh, okay. Y-V-O-N-N-E.
Right.
C-H-A-T-E-A-U.
Very close.
Close, yes. Let's have let's have Barry Kleinbort try this, the other Barry.
Of course, this is the one you give me. You don't give me Jimsy to lap. Yvonne Chateau, Y-V-O-N-N-E-C-H-A, I'm going to spell the same thing that Barry did, T-E-A-U-X.
Take off that last letter.
No, it was, well, C-H-A-T-A-E-A-U.
No.
Well,
No.
think of it not as chateau like your chateau
Like a
in
chateau,
France, but
right.
like differently. Okay, let's have Candy Brown try this one then. Feel this one?
Candy.
Oh, no. I mean, from all the clues, Y-V-O-N-N-E, Yvonne, but Chateau, obviously it's not the French spelling.
Right.
And you said it's C-H-A-T-O-E?
No.
No. It's
Anybody?
C-H-A-T-T-O-E.
Moritz, you want to try?
If I hadn't had just 4 hours sleep last night, I could.
Okay, never mind.
Well,
it's C-H-O-U-T-E-A-U.
Oh, my goodness.
Do it again.
That's
Say that again?
C-H-O-U-T-E-A-U. You were very close, Barry.
Oh, Chateau.
Oh,
Chateau.
If you pronounced it that way, we could have gotten it.
Yeah. If you had said Chateau, we would have understood. Chateau.
So, Charles, go to the next one for Candy.
Okay,
Those
let's
eyes.
have Candy spell Fayard Nicholas,
Could you
who
spell
danced
that?
with his brother Harold Nicholas.
Could you
in
spell
Biern
that,
in St.
please?
Louis.
Yeah. Okay. F-A-Y-A-R-D-N-I-C-H-O-L-A-S.
Very good.
I know my tap dances.
Okay, the last name is for Barry Kleinbort, who, he knows all. This is the choreographer of Serafina, Barry. Ndaba Malongo. The last name, Barry. You know all these names. Go ahead.
Major Broadway show.
It's an anagram. The choreographer for Serafina. I could spell that. Would you say it again?
Use it in a sentence. Ndaba. Ndaba.
N-D-A-B-A.
Right.
Yes.
Malongo.
Wait,
Malongo.
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 Wait, what?
Malongo.
Yeah. M-L-O-N-G-O.
There's one letter you missed.
M-A-L-O-N-G-O?
Yeah.
No, M-O-L-O-N-G-O.
Anybody want to try it? No? M-H-L-O-N-G-O.
Oh, yes.
I sure that. Okay.
Right on the tip of your tongue, Jamie. I know.
Anyone else know Serafina? Let's start there.
Well, yeah.
Oh, of course, Andy.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Wait, I want to redeem myself. BAAYORKLEE.
Very good.
I'll laugh for that one.
That's really good.
Well, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you to people who are watching, to our spellers, to our askers, everyone.
So, John, do you have something to say to wrap us up?
Well, thank you all for being here and for participating in this, because without you, we don't have a community. Whether it be a dance community or a theater community, we are all one in an artistic community, and we are all aging, and we all need each other, and we all need to pass the history, the legacy, and all the stories of our lives on. And that's what we do. So that's why we would like you to all help and chip in and join or donate to Dancers Over 40. So thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you.
A lot of board members, a lot of members here, hopefully some new members. And Charles, you get me the list of who's going to get their mask. And you didn't tell us who the winner is.
Oh.
When are you going to tell us who the winner is?
We're going to announce that at the real thing.
Oh, we have to wait. Oh my God, I'm going to be a wreck the whole weekend.
You'll have to watch.
Anticipation.
And remember, if you all become members of Dances Over 40, Charles will be taking care of you in your old age. Okay?
I'll become a member.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Thank you all.
I wanna be a dancing man while I can. Gonna leave my footsteps on the sands of time. If I never leave a dime, never be a millionaire, I don't care. I'll be rich as old King Midas might have been, least until the tide comes in. Let other men build mighty nations and buildings to the sky. I'll leave a few creations to show that I was dancing by. I wanna be free as any bird can be. Yes, sirree. Gonna leave my footsteps on the sands of time. If I never save a dime, let other men build mighty nations and buildings to the sky. I'll leave a few creations just to show that I was dancing by. I wanna be free as any bird can be. Yes, sirree. Gonna leave my footsteps on the sands of time. If I never leave a dime, a dancing man with footsteps on the sands of rhythm